What's up? It's Tiff Linnell, and thank you for joining me in another special edition of Unmuted Nation, where I get to host. That's right. Alex is on vacation, a much needed vacation, and he gave me the privilege, the honor to grace you all with my presence as Tiff Linnell, as I do a pre-launch tease for Tiff Talks. In case you missed yesterday, make sure you go to any one of our pages, Boss FM, Unmuted Nation, Tiff Linnell, Alex, one of them, pick one, subscribe to them all, and then make sure you catch yesterday's episode and all of the wonderful episodes of Unmuted Nation. And you also want to mark your calendars, November 2nd. November 2nd. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is when you can catch Tiff Talks live. You don't want to miss it. November 2nd, Tiff Talks, Womanist Theology, the Bible in a way you've never heard it before, social justice, criminal justice, politics, all the things. Mark your calendars. We have another amazing show for you tonight. I have another amazing guest. And of course, I'm repping the amazing Spelman and Morehouse in honor of homecoming. Now, this guest is not a stranger to the Unmuted Nation family. You have seen her on here before. I had to welcome her back because she is a Spelman sister of mine. Please welcome to the nation, Miss Kia. What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm here. How are you? Yes.
Phenomenal. Since 1881. I almost said 1981.
I did not get one of those cups because I didn't. But the flag, the cute little flag is on my refrigerator. That's as high as I'm going this year. So.
We were talking about that in the group chat, and I was like, yeah, I understand why y'all didn't get a glass. I paid $140 for a wine tumbler. That don't make no sense.
That don't make no sense. I can make one, but it's cute.
Right?
It's a cute tumbler. I just no, thank you. How are you feeling? So I talked a little bit yesterday that it's HBCU homecoming season. We're all missing it because we're virtual and all that other good stuff, but not really good stuff because we're not under a white tent with a red cup right now. How are you feeling this season, not being able to be under the illustrious white tents?
This year is interesting because I feel like this is a year that we really need homecoming. We need to go and be around people who know us and love us and appreciate us and affirm us. And we need those hugs and that chicken at the Q tent and that red cup and that mindless dancing and safe space. And we can't get it. So it's even harder this year to not be able to go back to homecoming. So I don't even know what a substitute for that is, because we're all gonna hop on the Zoom calls and these online parties, but that's not the same.
It's not the same.
Hugging your folks.
It's not the same as swag surfing. It's not the same as, like you said, that good old chicken right fresh off the grill in the red Solo cup and getting the hoagie at that one food place that we all go to every year for homecoming. Yes. I need my hoagie and my fries and the go box. I look forward to that every year with my funnel cake.
Yes.
So I'm a little disappointed, but that just means we got to go double hard next year, and hopefully we have it next year.
You know what? Homecoming is a spiritual experience, and I don't think we talk about it enough as that. It feeds your soul. It feels good. It is home.
It's literally home. It's literally home. It's homecoming. It's not just a play on words. We literally are coming home to feed our spirits and feed our souls. And to not get that this year, I saw in one of my groups, they were talking about, we got to meet in a park or something. I can bring the grill. What do I need to do? Everyone's just like, I don't know what to do with myself. It's in October. What are we supposed to do? But you and I are going to rep the illustrious schools that we have, just a little Spelman, and talk politics. So I know that you have been on Unmuted Nation. We've been on Unmuted Nation together before. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about town halls. And we're going to talk about, I don't know if you saw, but the presidential debate topics were released. And then we have some trending now things. So we'll get into that. But election 2020 is first.
I'm tired, sis.
I'm tired as well. Election 2020 town halls. Biden, Trump, debate canceled, town halls instead. Now, from all accounts that I've seen, Biden won in the ratings department.
Mm-hmm.
One, are we surprised? And I saw one that was very shady. It said Biden beat out Trump, even though Trump was on 3 different versions of the NBC network. Biden was on one and still beat him out. So, one, are we really surprised? Like, did we expect? What did you expect when you saw that they were going head to head?
You know what? 2020 has been such a year that I like the bingo card is just thrown out. Everything that happens, I'm like, well, that wasn't on my bingo card. Didn't see that coming. So I honestly did not know what to expect. That was refreshing to me. It hopefully it tells us a little bit about where America is. I feel like Trump supporters are a very loud majority. I am terrified that I am wrong. And I just hope that the voter suppression doesn't stop the momentum that Joe has, and that come November 3rd and whatever time afterwards that it's going to take to count all these ballots, that we can really walk out of 2020 with the ability to start anew and do the work that we really need to do to build like a solid country for the people who've been left out for so long.
Right. And, I think all of us kind of felt like maybe we were in some bad spots before, but now over the last 4 years, it's like, oh no, we didn't even know what bad was. Like, I don't think anyone ever expected to sit and say, I really miss Bush.
Baby.
I miss that man.
Like,
it wasn't that bad. And I've said that before, and people are like, well, which Bush? Pick one. Neither one of them was as bad as this.
And I think from a policy perspective, you could debate that they are just as bad as Trump, but Trump brings this air of chaos around him. Like, it's just completely out of control that you don't even have the energy to fight what he's doing, because you're always responding to something. And he has just so destroyed our political norms. Like, we can't even, like, just the basics that people refuse to do, no matter how trash and horrible their policies are. He's destroyed all of that. So that's one thing that popped up with Mike Pence in the vice presidential debate. Like, Mike Pence is dangerous because he comes off as safe. Right. And Trump is just chaotic. So yes.
Because his policies are almost worse. Yes. And it's like, I've been saying this whole political season, this go round of, we have to elect people that we can at least hold accountable. We cannot and have not been able to hold Trump accountable to anything. I mean, even in the not debate, that was the thing that was canceled. Even in the town hall last night, Trump couldn't even answer the simple question of, did you take a test before the last debate or not? And it's like, that's a very simple question. Possibly did, possibly didn't. What do you mean? It's a yes or no question. And we never seem to get anywhere when it comes to policy discussions with him or Pence. They just are dodging the questions, even in the last debate, Trump said, when it comes to Obamacare, once we have our plan done, then we'll reveal it. You've been in office for 4 years trying to get rid of Obamacare. So if you don't have
no plan,
I don't understand. So that kind of brings us into the debate topics for the next debate. It's fighting COVID-19, American families, race in America, climate change, national security, and leadership.
This is shady. This is shady.
It's
Which
very
which
shady.
network is doing this debate?
It's not CNN. I don't remember
I
which
can't
network.
remember either.
But
I'm
like
excited.
I'm excited as well. So the next one is supposed to be October 22nd. I just COVID, American families, race in America, climate change, national security, leadership. That is shady.
You know, these all work together though. Like they're all
Yes,
so integrated, and it
yes,
just and they all illustrate how much of a failure that Donald Trump has been.
exactly.
I do have one fear.
Yes,
My fear is that we will be so excited to get back to normal and like not chaotic that we won't push for the policy
yes,
changes and the progressive policy that we deserve, that people need. So I really want people to stay focused. Like even once we get to normal, once we have a Joe Biden administration, fingers crossed, prayers up, that we are able to that we're able to stay focused on the bigger goals that we want, and that we can create a society that works for all of us, and we're not just like, ooh, glad that's over.
exactly. I think before we even get to that point, my fear is that people will see or hear, well, they're not really talking about my one thing. We've talked, and I have both been on Unmuted Nation before, where we talked about people voting on one policy, one topic. And because neither side has really gotten a chance to talk too much about their policies, my fear is that people won't vote for anyone because they don't know the policies of either side, really. So, now, Kia, you and I can have this conversation, especially. I have been seeing a lot of evangelical preachers and Christians talking about vote for Jesus. Love God, love the Lord. Jesus is not on the ballot.
I was about to say something that was going to sound really horrible as a soundbite.
Oh,
What
please,
is
please. This is
what
Unmuted
is Jesus?
Call, so you can come on with it. Come on with it.
What is Jesus going to do? Jesus didn't come out the sky during slavery. Jesus didn't come out the sky when the officer's knee was on George Floyd's neck. Jesus didn't come out the sky when they were slashing the voters right at. I love, respect, appreciate Jesus. Calling on Jesus' name has worked for me personally.
Mhm.
This work in this moment is ours. We should be inspired by Jesus to do the work ourselves and stop waiting for Sky Daddy to come down and save us, because that's not happening.
Come on, Sky Daddy. Yeah, like Jesus is not on the ballot. And if anybody, I want a list of anyone who votes for Jesus. If you write Jesus on your ballot, I send me the names. I just want to have a conversation, because you are not paying attention to the moment that is at stake right now if you think that writing in Jesus on your ballot is really going to work. I mean, even when you talk about the topics of the next presidential debate, these are key things that we are dealing with in this country as a people right now. And none of them are discriminating on race other than race in America. But this is a key, and especially since we missed the second debate that we were supposed to have because we have a petty ass child in office. This one on October 22nd is important. It's in Tennessee. So I think that's a very interesting, location for it. It's hosted by NBC. And so I think that Kristen Welker is going to serve as the moderator. And so I think that as we're talking about COVID-19, I really want to hear even more on how the Biden campaign, Biden and Harris, are going to deal with COVID-19. And even Trump, was talking about, now the Biden and Harris campaign are impacted by COVID. They had 2 people test positive. You had like 16 within a week because you had an irresponsible event happen on your watch. And so the stark difference even in that is drastic. When you talk about race in America, we talked last night about Black men who are stomping for Trump. Whether Ice Cube is one or not one, is up for fair game and conversation. But next week, there will be more conversation on the nation about Blacks for Trump. I don't understand. And I saw a clip of one man saying, look at everything he's done for the HBCUs. No. That's not how that went. That's not how that went at all. And if you ask any HBCU president, including the one for illustrious Spelman College, they didn't do anything. None of the promises to the HBCUs were kept. So I have real serious concerns about what I'm hearing. Have you heard anything differently from evangelical circles, from Christians, or anyone? What are you hearing in the streets that's concerning you right now about an election?
Black evangelicals are giving me real big both sides energy or the abortion energy. And first of all, both sides just really frustrate me, because that shows that you don't have the ability to critically analyze the reality that's happening around you, because both sides are not the same. And I will never tell you that the Democratic Party is perfect. I will never tell you that the Democratic Party doesn't have race problems, inclusion problems, diversity problems. But what I will tell you is that the Democratic Party understands that they are a big tent, and their policies are more in line with what Black people need to be well in society than anything that the Republican Party has ever brought to the table.
Right. And I think that's, in order to understand something like that, you have to really understand the history of politics and the history of each side of the House. And I think that, this week we talked a little bit about the Senate Judiciary Committee for SCOTUS selection. It was very interesting and evident, the different approaches to thinking and voting and decision making when it came to the committee hearings. So I think that and this is not just a presidential election, and I've been saying that all political season long. This is about your local elections as well. And we have to make sure that we are responsible for who we vote into office, who get these appointments, who get these elections, and make sure that we are holding them accountable. Daniel Cameron was somebody that was voted in, and it's different in each state. But now they got to Kentucky for 3 more years.
And just voted in November.
Right.
Like,
so what would have happened if somebody else been voted in, and then that person was in that seat for another 3 years? But instead, voted in.
I'm sorry. If I remember correctly, the person who was in before him was a Democrat. And I'm not going to say that a Democrat attorney general would have pressed charges. But what I will say is I am confident in this political moment, it would not look like it does right now.
Agreed. And I think and that's really where the party lines get a little, iffy. Because when I vote, now I don't think I've ever voted for a Republican in my life, unless I had to because it was an incumbent and nobody else was running against them, or, some situation like that. But when you vote, it's very important. And I see some threads, and I'm very glad about this, where, we have initiatives and other local, the word is escaping right now. Lord, just drew a blank. Basically, policies and stuff in our districts that we have to vote on that could go into law.
Yeah.
So you have to look at even those and say, okay, who is sponsoring this? And what is the voting history of a person? And what have they supported? What have they not supported in their political history? So it's not just, I'm a vote Democrat all the way down. No, I need to understand what you stand for or don't stand for, what you support and what you don't support. Because even if Daniel Cameron ran as a Democrat, if you looked at his voting history, if you looked at what he supported and didn't support and really took a good look at him, people show you who they are. So I think that we have to really be mindful of who we're voting for and not just voting for a party line, especially right now. We have Republicans flipping, who knows how long that's going to last. We got Democrats flipping. We showed a clip of white women who were Democrat but voted Republican because they like Trump as a celebrity. So it just, which I still don't understand. Discuss it, but I don't know. What do you think?
If I could tell anyone an important lesson to take away from the last year alone, is the importance of primaries, because that's like a lot of times we ignore primaries, but that work you're talking about knowing who you're voting for, that's what happens in primaries. That's how, like, we complain about Joe Biden now and how he isn't progressive or this and that, but we had progressive candidates. We had Elizabeth Warren, we had Julian Castro, we had Bernie Sanders, and we didn't coalesce around any of them. And now we have Joe Biden, and we have to work with what we have here. So I really want people to get involved, like, early, like, I want to say like a March before an election year, but I feel like this started happening like in November of 2018 when we started seeing people show up and declare that they were running for president. But I really want people to be involved at that level, and not just for president, but for your Senate races and for your local elections, so that you know who's on the ballot early and you can choose the best candidate for the general election.
Right. And that's the crux of the problem. You have to, and I was telling someone else about Ballotpedia that I use to really research the initiatives and see who sponsored this, who supported this, who wrote this, who even brought this to the floor for voting, and what's the history of this? Did it get struck down before and now it's back on the table? If it was, what was changed in the interim to make it come back to the voting table? So all of that is public information available to us, available for us to research. I retweeted a thread not too long ago that went through some that are in my area in Georgia, but it's on the worldwide interwebs. So take some.
Sorry.
You're fine. Take some time and research all of that and vote. Vote. If you don't do anything else, vote, for goodness sakes. So yeah, that's any last thoughts on that?
Yes, what I was doing was grabbing my absentee ballot for the amendments and the referendums. And that is a really important part for you to research. Honestly, I'm going to be honest, that's a part that I fail to research often. And the wording on these can be real funny, where you will think you're voting for one thing and you are voting for something that is completely against your interests. So it's important to go to those sites that give you sample ballots and to research what it's really saying, because they put all this legal mumbo jumbo that's not easily interpreted. And I have a friend who I call and I'll be like, "Hey, Jay, how do I vote here? What should I vote there?" But it's so important for us to like break these amendments down, get sample ballots. If you don't have an absentee ballot, you can get a sample ballot for your area offline from the Secretary of State website, or a lot of different organizations will break it down, and to figure out what's on the ballot before you go into the booth.
Yes, that's very important. And also note that you are not, once you enter a voting location, at least here in Georgia, I believe it's the same for every location, you cannot have your cell phone out.
Yeah.
So you want to do this before you even get there, unless you just know you're going to be standing in line for 4 or 5 hours. But even then, do it before you get to the location. It's just important. And I think what you said, Kia, is excellent. Have a buddy system. Go over these things that are in your area. A buddy. I happen to be that buddy for a lot of my friends. They call me and say, "Girl, I don't understand what in the world this is saying. What are you voting for? Speak to me in crayon. What does this mean?" And they know I will sit and spend an hour or two researching all of this to understand what am I voting for, because they intentionally, especially when it comes to taxes, do you think it's a good idea that we increase this tax just by 2% so that we can use the money for XYZ projects? And it could be absolutely nothing of what they're actually trying to use the money for. So let's just be careful, get a buddy, pick somebody, or you be that buddy for somebody else. That's all I got on election 2020. The next debate is October 22nd at 9 p.m. NBC is hosting. Kristen Welker is the moderator, and we've already gone over all of the topics. So y'all make sure you'll be tuned in, and I'm sure Unmuted Nation will host some level of a show, and I will be tuned in as well. Now, it is time for trending topics. All right, trending topics. Coronavirus numbers are on the up, which of course is a problem. But out of the 39.1 million cases in the world, the United States hit a landmark number, and we are now at over 8 million cases and over 218 deaths, with 1.1 million deaths in the world. We are ahead of India, that has 7.37 million, and Brazil at 5.2 million. 8 million cases. 8 million cases. And Savannah Guthrie last night said in the town hall that only 10% of the country has gotten it. 8
but
million
you know what?
cases.
It goes back to leadership, because that is the saddest part. When I think about the 200,000 people who have lost their lives, the people who didn't even know to take this seriously because our president wasn't taking it seriously. And it breaks my heart because we didn't have to be here. We could have been so much better prepared than where we are today. And for him to catch the virus and then to come out and get special treatment, let's be clear, got experimental treatment because of his authority in office. And to be so dismissive of like, oh, it's not that serious. No, it is that serious. You do not have access to the treatment that he has access to. And we deserve better. We deserve a leader who is going to tell us the truth and prepare us for the worst.
Absolutely. And really, we talked about this last night, and it bears repeating. President Obama had put together a pandemic task force that not long after Trump got in office, he disbanded. There was a purpose in that task force. We are not supposed to be in the year of our dear Lord, 2020. There is no way, with all of our medical advances and technology that we allegedly have, that we have over 218,000 people who have died from this illness. And it's going up. And we're about to hit flu season. We're about to hit allergy season, which means it's going to go up even more. And he is still out here touting these Regeneron and all these other, he actually, I believe, used the word cure last night. It just...
Cure for a virus.
Cure
which
for a virus.
Like basic science.
Basics, which is, again, I said last night, he's dumb. It bears repeating. He's dumb. Like, you don't understand basic science. And it would be one thing if you didn't understand basic science and you listen to the smart people around you. You are not even willing to listen to the doctors and scientists around you. 8 million?
I think we should say, because like I am medical adjacent. Like I have people around me who work in the medical industry who've told me this, but like there are no cures for viruses. Your body has to overcome it.
Yeah. Which is, again, that is, and maybe people don't know this. That's what the fever is. That's what the cough is. That's what the headaches are. That's what the chills are. It is literally your body trying to fight off something that is attacking your immune system. So your temperature goes up because your white blood cells are going up. Your body is literally tearing itself apart on the inside, trying to heal itself. And our bodies are capable of amazing things if we let it be. But God also created medicine, but that medicine sometimes takes time. And I think that's where we are not giving the scientists and the doctors the time that is needed. This is not something to be rushed. The flu is something that has a vaccine that you are supposed to get every year. What do you think is going to happen with the coronavirus that has already changed and shifted into different strains that every few months they're like, this is a new symptom. We ain't never seen this before. We don't know what to do. 8 million is just a lot of people impacted by a virus that started in 2019. So it's been probably about a year. 8 million people in our country.
And we don't know the long-term side effects because chickenpox is a virus. And there was a time before we got chickenpox vaccine, everyone would get the chickenpox. What we know about chickenpox is years later, when you're older, it shows back up as shingles, which is very dangerous for the elderly, very painful.
Right.
We have no idea because viruses don't leave your body. They just become subdued, or
exactly.
An unscientific word. We have no idea what COVID is going to show up like in 20 years in our bodies, or what effect it will have. That's terrifying.
Exactly. And that's really the scary part about it. We have people who have it now or who have had it saying, I still can't taste 3 months down the line. My vision is still a little bit blurry. I have respiratory issues now that I've had it, and all different types of side effects. This is not a one size fits all, one vaccine fits all. That's just not how this is going to work. And so, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll continue to say it. Please stop expecting that one vaccine is just going to come out and cure everybody and cure all. That's just not how it's going to work. I'm sorry. Just like the flu vaccine can get you sick, this vaccine is probably going to be one, and don't quote me on this, and I'm not making, any promises or remarks or anything like that. I am also medical adjacent. I haven't been in medical school in a very long time. And I didn't even finish. Let me be very clear. I went like needles. That's it. I'm out. But the coronavirus is something we may be dealing with for a while. And so, I think at first it was a bit scary, and, we were trying to take precautions, but like you said, the president was not illustrating how serious this really is, which meant dumb people who listened to him, like Kemp, also didn't take it seriously. And now you have areas in places like Georgia where they still aren't wearing masks because they're still listening to bad advice. And he's still trying to promote bad and misinformation about masks not working. It's a simple thing. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. It's very simple. 8 million, that number bears repeating. Over 8, we are number 1 in the world. Number 1 in the world in cases.
I mean, USA, right? USA.
Is this
number 1?
Is this the great again that we were supposed to be getting?
We got to be number 1 at everything.
We got to be number 1 at everything. We just can't lose at anything. I just, at least one county is taking notice. Atlanta Public Schools has decided to postpone face-to-face schooling at least until January 2021. They will still have some sports that will be in play and that will still compete, football, volleyball, such like that. But I think this was a wise decision. And now I think it may be wise to even go beyond January 2021. But I know APS is one of the only school systems that I have heard of in Georgia, at least, that has delayed or postponed its face-to-face learning. Kia, what do you think about this decision?
I think it's the right decision. I think that it is also not an easy decision for people for the superintendent and the people who are having to make these decisions, because I was actually watching on Facebook before I hopped on here, and one of my old coworkers, I used to be a teacher back in a previous life, taught out in Clayton County, and one of my coworkers now works in Atlanta public schools. So she said, like, when she found out, she was in tears. They're also very concerned about the superintendent because Atlanta is very much a north and south divide. And the further north you go in the city, the more money you come into contact with and the whiter the city gets. Let's just be clear. And
Absolutely.
the north side of the city is really pushing to go back to school with no concern for how this disproportionately affects the people in the south side of the city. And because we know equity does not show up well in our communities, the influence of the north side of the city usually has a larger impact than what you see on the south side of the city. So I am concerned about, like, this new superintendent who is making a decision for what's best for her students, but has this pressure coming from white money. Let's just be clear and call a thing, to make a different decision. Clear. And I think that is a huge part of the problem with Fulton County schools here in Atlanta. Because if you know how Fulton is shaped on the map, like Fulton is like an eye. It's like a crooked eye, but it very much runs from the north point of Atlanta to the southernmost point of Metro Atlanta area. So you get that even more in Fulton County than I would even say in Atlanta public schools.
Yes, agreed. And at what point do we really, I really can't tell if are we jeopardizing our children's safety and putting money over our children's safety and our teachers' safety and our administrator safety? Or are people just really blissfully ignorant to the impacts of this virus and think, oh, it'll be fine? Or are they really still listening to Trump, who said, well, people are going to die. We just need to deal with it. Like, what is it that is really pushing these parents and some administrators to get back into a school building? I almost equate it to, hate to say it, I almost equate it to people, church people, Christian people, trying to get back into the building of the church. Do you not know how to seek God and Jesus without being in a church building? Do you not know how to get an education without being in a school seat? Now, that's not to take away from the disparities and the inequality to access for the tools to learn at home. That's a whole other an issue that we need to fix. There's no reason that children have a hard time getting internet access to get onto classes. It's America in 2020. But at the end of the day, we've got to do better as a people at some point and put health over money, health over bad ideologies, health over tradition. What is it going to take, do you think, for us to do that?
I don't think we will see that in our generation. I'm not convinced that we will completely see it in my kids' generation. I think a lot of the battles that we're fighting now, we have to be invested enough to fight them for. We have to fight to win battles that we will never reap the rewards for. And we have to be okay with that. So I hope that one day we can put health over money and people's well-being over capitalistic gains. That is not where we are in America right now.
It's not at all where we are in America right now, not even close. I know one of the biggest things during the first few months of COVID and after, places started opening back up, especially here in Georgia, was, small businesses have to get back open and our businesses need our customers. And, Trump has been touting that, oh, the economy is booming. It's getting bigger and we're doing better. No, we're not.
You know who's getting better? Wealthy people. Wealthy people who can sit in their homes and not expose themselves, but send their workers out to work in this environment and still make money.
Right.
Like, so, I mean, when Trump says the economy is getting better, the economy is only getting better for one class of people. It is not you or anyone who's listening to this show. And that should show you who he cares about.
Right. Yeah. The top 1%. And guess
That's it.
who does not make up the majority of that top 1%?
Me.
Like, at some point, we got to do better. I have another trending topic that I want to talk about with you. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on this.
I'm scared.
Listen, Diddy has revealed that he's launching a new political party, the Black Political Party, Black Party. So first, a few months ago, everyone was talking about him because he was one of a few people talking about holding the Black vote hostage, and the Black vote will not be free. He's now saying that that was irresponsible of him. And he has also endorsed Biden, but said that once Biden gets in, we'll have to hold him to a higher standard, which is all any of us have been saying anyway, but whatever. What do you think about Diddy revealing the launch of the Black Party?
So I'm going to name this up front for my own benefit because I have 3 things that I want to say about this. Number one, if Diddy wanted to do right by Black people and to benefit Black people, he should start with the artists who he screwed over since 1993 or whenever, when he was still in, you want to do right by Black people, do right by the Black people who you have screwed over consistently. Number 2, to start a political party, to do the organizing work, you are stepping over people who have actually been doing this work for years and years and years. So I work in progressive advocacy. I work in the digital aspect. I wouldn't call myself an organizer because I know real organizers. I know people who've been talking about defund the police since before I even understood what defund the police was. There are people who have been doing this work, who know what policies we need, who knows how to build these communities. And for Diddy and all his arrogance to step over those people and say, this is what I'm about to do now because you have a little bit of money and power, it's just so disrespectful. If you wanted to organize Black people, you could have started with the mostly Black and queer folks who have been doing this work for years. But it's not about Black people. It's not about organizing us. It's about you having power, you being able to access the power and authority and a seat at the table. It's not about us at all. And that is disgusting. And I had a third point that I don't remember now. And I told you I had 3 points for that very reason. Oh, the other thing. Here's Black people are 13% of the population. One thing I know about organizers, about Black organizers, true organizers are so committed to their values, but they also believe in coalition building. So Black people will never be able to gain political power solely on their own. They have to reach out to other marginalized people to build a coalition that is fighting for the power and the political access so that they can get policies that benefits everyone. The problem with Black men like Diddy is they want power, but they want to cut people out. They want to leave queer people out. They want to leave trans people out. They want to ignore Hispanic issues and immigration issues. And they want it to be so focused, usually just around Black capitalism, which we can talk about how small that is.
Show. Yes.
So, like, if you are not being honest about just the root numbers of like what kind of political power we can hold, we have to be able to build coalitions. And
Right.
nothing that you have done, past or present, has given me any confidence that you were able to build coalitions. Number one, the fact that you are stepping over the people who've been doing the work that you're pretending to do right now. It's disgusting.
And so I'm glad you said that, because that I'm going to read a quote of what he said. He had a conversation with Charlemagne the God,
Mm.
and part of his statements on this new Black Party were, "I'm launching one of the boldest movements that I've ever launched," which we know how his launches go, but whatever. "It's called our Black Party. It's time for us to have our own Black political party unapologetically, because right now, if you look at the debates, we're not even a part of the conversation. We don't have any political power. We don't have any political leverage. And so we started our Black Party with some young, fearless Black activists, elected officials, and I've stepped up and put the money behind it."
I don't believe that Black people don't have political power, or that our issues aren't on the table.
I
It's
agree.
like that is a ridiculous statement. What
Yes,
he's saying is, I don't have power. They're not coming to me to ask this question, to ask my
that's it.
opinion. They
That's
don't
it.
need my approval to move. Because
Yes.
they're like, we have heard more about racial justice in 2020 in a presidential election than we have in my lifetime. I can't say I would argue that since the civil rights movement, like, racial justice has not been on the table.
Right.
And we just have to be honest about, like, and I am so critical of where we are, but I'm also honest about where we are. And that is just an inauthentic statement from someone who is trying to grab power, and not
Yes.
anyone who's interested in building something that will help his community.
Right. And that's really, again, the crux of the problem. There are so many organizations that he could have partnered with, that he could have supported, that he could have thrown money behind to work on voter suppression, to work on voter education, to work on getting absentee ballots and getting making sure people have their voting information. There were so many other ways to leverage the political power that we do have the capability of having and leveraging, than to do this nonsense. I'm sorry. This is nonsense. We are less than 3 weeks to the next election, and this is what y'all are pulling? No, we don't. We quite literally don't have time for this. This ain't it.
We win when people know their roles. And I wish philanthropists
Now, that's a
would be
tweet.
philanthropists and
Yes,
not try to be more than that.
yes,
You are a check. And let's be honest, you're a check because you stole from other Black people to build enough wealth to be a check. That is your role in this process. And I don't mean to, like, belittle anyone or to say that your independent voice is not important, but it is what it is. You have an independent voice. You do not
right,
speak for a community. And if you
right,
wanted to have the influence that, if you wanted to make a difference, you would use your privilege, which is your money that you got from stealing from other Black people, to invest into the movements that are happening. The people who have
right.
done the work, who have studied, who have built the relationship, who have laid out policy agendas, who have stuff to bring to the table other than, hey, you gonna listen to me.
Right. And like you said, it's not just about Black people. Now I'm forever rooting for everybody Black. Always. Always and forever. But let's be clear, there are many marginalized groups that if we came
Yes.
together in this country, we would be a force to be reckoned with.
You know what? And I hate to call it brilliance, but that is the brilliance of white supremacy. It and
Yes,
capitalism.
yes,
They turn us against each other. So we are spending all of our energy fighting people who don't have who we shouldn't be fighting. Like our common enemy is white supremacy. We should be joining together to fight white supremacy. Our common enemy is capitalism. We should be joining together to fight capitalism. Like, so for us to be like fighting over crumbs when they are sitting over here with the whole pie, no, you're not dragging me into that bull.
Not at all.
I almost cussed. I didn't know if we were cussing tonight or not.
Yes, you can cuss tonight. Tonight is
okay.
Yes, absolutely. We've been cussing all week. Yeah, like we don't have time for this. This is a time to, first of all, it's been a time to organize. So if you are just now trying to organize, I already got an issue with you. That's problem number one. It's been time to do that.
Can I jump on that?
Please.
He had an opportunity. Remember when he was doing Rock the Vote back when 106 & Park was out? And Rock the Vote.
Vote or die.
Yeah, that's what it was. Not Rock the Vote. Vote or so like nigga.
That was an initiative. That was the time to carry that on.
Carry that on. And once t-shirts stopped selling, you disappeared. Vote or die. And shit, we dead now. Now that we dead, you want to show up. Like
now that we in line for 7-8 hours and getting to the location and it says, "Oh, you got the wrong polling location. So sorry."
Where was Vote or Die when they were? Where was Vote or Die when they were killing the Voter Rights Act that allowed all this new voter suppression to come in? So I'm sorry. You can't show up now talking about Black political party when you had an opportunity to make ends way, and as soon as t-shirts stopped selling, you disappeared.
Like everything else, you left it on the table, suffering. Like every other initiative, group, Black thing, people, you just left it on the table like it was 126 or Danity Kane. And how dare you try to come back in now and say we're starting our own party? Sit your ass down. Like that's just not what we need. Then like educate everyone, use your platform and your money behind organizations that matter, that are doing the work, that have feet to the streets, that are literally putting action and money where their mouths and their feet are. I personally know 3 or 4 organizations that I'm partnered with, just trying to get out the vote and get voter suppression knocked out. It is a huge problem in Georgia. And so if you love the cities and you love Black people so much, put your money where your mouth is. And it should not be behind trying to start a new Black party movement right now. And stop marginalizing everybody else, because frequently the Black thing does not include LGBTQ. It does not include non-binary individuals. It does not include anyone else who fits outside of that traditional box. So miss me with this.
And you know how about you do the work of the intra-community work, since you're so invested in the Black community? Because the times that I have had to argue with other Black folks about the fact that minimum wage should be a living wage, like I'm not arguing with y'all's fools about whether McDonald's employees should make $15 an hour or not. If you go to work, you should, for 40 hours a week, you should be able to pay for housing. You should be paid a minimum wage, period. And until we can do the unlearning within our community, we need to shut the hell up about trying to start some shit, because all we're going to do is replicate the oppression and abuse that we have learned from white supremacy and patriarchy and capitalism.
Yes. That's it. So I'm sure I mentioned before, they're going to be talking on The Nation about Blacks for Trump. And I believe there's a promo. Let's just roll the promo.
I just thank God for President Trump. You know, I ain't never met the man. I don't know the man. But I'm just talking about what he doing for our country and what he doing for our people. Black people working, you know what I'm saying?
And get the vote out for Donald J. Trump.
I am singing the national anthem for the Trump rally.
After all that he's done for the HBCUs and relieving student debt for black folk, and don't forget the First Step Act, getting all the black people out of jail. After all that he's done,
are these your cousins? Who are these people?
Listen, they not my kinfolk, because you know all skinfolk ain't kinfolk. That's next week on Unmuted Nation. Make sure you tune in for that. On that note, I want to end on a high note. So in honor of our homecoming weekend, Kia, do you have a favorite Spelman story that you can share on the big public internet? It could be homecoming or just the time at Spelman. What, in honor of our illustrious weekend, what is something you want to share about your alma mater?
What year did you graduate, Tiffany?
2009. 09.
Oh, okay. So you're a baby. Do you know Steagles?
Of course.
Okay. I couldn't remember when Steagles left, because you know there's a whole generation of AUC kids
that doesn't know Steagles, Gutbusters, Mercs. I could go on, but yes.
So my favorite AUC stories involve the Steagles, which is just like this shop on the strip that you walk to at 3:00 in the morning for some pigeon wings and a grilled cheese sandwich. Those wings, it was supposed to be chicken, but those wings were way too big to be like hot wings. So they were suspect as hell.
Yes.
There was the security guard who didn't have a tongue, who we probably owe all types of apologies to, because we just we weren't familiar with ableism back then. And
oh my God.
But there is nothing like a 2 a.m. date. And by date, I mean walking to Steagles to get some wings and a Coke or Pepsi, because Steagles didn't have Coke products. That was what was unique
was a surprise, because
Atlanta, right?
And it's not
that was the only place. That was the only place I could get a Sunkist, a Pepsi product. So that is my journey. And then CAU got slick and they tried to start closing the gate. So we would have to climb over the gate to walk down the strip to get Steagles at 2:00 in the morning. And I'm sorry, if you don't know what Steagles is, your AUC experience isn't a real AUC experience. I'm just calling you on that.
Heard. And it's funny because, now they have the Uber Eats and a little bit, but they have, all of that other DoorDash and all of that Grubhub. And I'm like, I was talking to some young Spelman ladies a few weeks ago. I said, let me be clear. We didn't have that. You could walk down the street to the Taco Bell or to the Church's Chicken. Now I'm going to give one of my favorite spots that I went to. When I went, it's not there anymore. It's actually moved locations now, as a lot of things have in the AUC. But there was a spot around the corner called Jamal's. And it was just this Black woman in a trailer in the parking lot of a Papa John's. And she had some of the best wings I have ever had in my life. And I remember when somebody first brought me a plate of the wings and they were like, now don't ask me where I got this from. Just eat them. I was like, okay. And I ate the wings and I was like, oh, you got to take me to this spot. And they took me and I said, well, that's a trailer. No trailer. They were like, these are the wings you had. This is where I got them. I was like, but this is a trailer. And that's standalone trailer. It's a trailer in a parking lot of another food establishment. What do you mean? I got somewhere. I got over, my whatever, and those were some of the best wings I ever had. So shout out to Steagles. Shout out to Jamal's. Y'all don't know what y'all missing. Y'all didn't have parking lot pimping. Y'all didn't have, through the hole in the gate for various reasons. Like y'all are you're missing out on half of the AUC experience, but whatever, to each his own.
Support Black businesses.
Listen, please support Black businesses. Kia, thank you so much for joining me tonight for this special edition that I got to host Unmuted Nation for. Please let the people know how they can get in touch with you.
You can find me at Kia Speaks on all social media. My website is kiaspeaksalso.com. And yeah, go tag me, hit me up, and let's talk.
And sign up for her newsletter. It's dope and great.
Yes.
And she sends out a lot of good information. So
I need to write one. Thank you for that trigger.
Hopefully Kia will join me on TIFF Talks, and hopefully you will join me on TIFF Talks. Mark your calendars, November 2nd, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. You don't want to miss it. That is going to do it for me. And make sure you check out Unmuted Nation. Starting again, Alex will be back next week, I promise. If you missed any of this episode or last night's episode or any other episodes, you can catch them on Unmuted Nation, Boss FM, and also the last 2 nights on my page. You can reach me at Tiff Linnell on everything: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and .com. Not any of that other stuff. I'm not on the TikTok or the Snapchat. Don't look for me there. I'm not there. But make sure you hit me up, Tiff Linnell, TIFF Talk starting November 2nd. And you know how I always say, he got to go. So Trump,